Hi guys, here we are in another episode of What to Play Over the Weekend Ranked, the series where I analyze the meta of Gods Unchained, the best decks, the cheap deck, and so on. And actually, this is the first episode after the new set release of Dread Awakening. So actually, the meta shifted a lot, and I will start to make this series every week until there are like patch and so on. So let's jump right into it for see how the meta shifted. So as we can see, those are the win rate. And that is actually the god with the lowest win rate, actually pretty bad, 46%. And I actually want even to talk about this because it's pretty weird, because I think the Dread and so on are pretty good. To be honest, I didn't play it a lot this week, I just checked a lot of stats. But I will try to make my weekend ranked with Dread and see if I can build the best Dread deck. So, I mean, maybe check that. But yeah, it's actually pretty weird. There are still some Death deck that we'll check after that are still meta, but yeah, as you can see, is for a lot the worst god. Even War probably didn't got a lot of love with the Carving War, is not so meta. When instead, as you can see, there is Deception that is really good, but actually not with a lot of new decks. It's just MAYDAY probably the most meta with Rush. Magic that got Elderic, but as with Deception, I didn't saw a lot of new deck in the best deck of the meta that we will check, when instead Nature and Light both got pretty solid cards, as you can see there. Light and Luster, and Nature is literally a full, almost new deck that is actually really good, and I think even really funny. Instead, we'll check the popularity. As you can see, the War is still the most popular, so you will face a lot of War in your weekend ranked. That's why obviously War has a really good budget aggro and so on, so obviously you will face a lot. Magic then is followed because it has a lot of different archetype, combo, Atlantean, Control, Arandion, so even for that. Same for Deception. That is mostly Anubian and Bomb Dragon, the video I made literally. Then we have Light and Nature that actually are the cheap god with the most of the new cards, but still are the lowest played. Probably is even for that because not everyone has already the new cards, so people are probably waiting for that. Actually, let me close Telegram because if not... Yeah, so essentially people are probably waiting for the new cards, and that's another thing I want to talk about, is that this meta will shift a lot even before the patch. Even if they don't make the patch this week, the meta will still shift because there are still a lot of cards that are just in the crafting card, if you saw my Buyer's Guide video. So essentially there are still a lot of cards that are not present essentially in Gods Unchained in the meta. So those will change a lot the meta when those will be available. So I think in 1-2 weeks will change a lot. We will check those decks. Aggro Light is actually a pretty weird Aggro Light that we will check. Control Nature, CDM is still really solid, and this is the best budget deck if you saw my video, so yeah. Let's jump actually like in real decks. So this is probably the best deck for that. Is a Rock Drake, so it's pretty weird that it is not a Dread, because I thought actually Dread were pretty good, but we'll see, maybe it needs a bit more time. Even because like Valujin, that is the best Dread card, it is a craftable legendary, so there are not really a lot and you gotta pay those. So it's even maybe for that. By the way, Rock Drake, and as you can see, is literally a normal Rock Drake. I will not talk about everything, you just want to OTK with like Over the Line, Canopy and so on. But as you can see, there is actually one card more that is pretty interesting, that is Path of Death. This is 2 mana, pull a card from your void to your end, your god takes damage equal to its mana cost. So it's actually super good in Rock Drake because you can take important cards like for example Necronomics for combo even better, and you take even damage that actually you want to take damage versus like for example Control matchup and so on, because you gotta lower your health for use the bitter ending. So this card actually is really good in Rock Drake, and I mean if you need like versus aggro you can take another Siren for sweep the entire board and so on, so it's actually super good. And as you can see, this guy is running 2 and I can agree with that, and I mean he has 72% win rate, so it's hard to not agree with him. So let's jump, and this is the only deck I want to talk about. There is even Anubian, it is still really good, but yeah, not really to talk about Anubian, and sadly there is literally, I searched a lot and I find the 0 good Dread deck. I will probably make the first one though. This is instead the only war I will bring, same for Death, like there is not a lot of carving, and actually the one that were all pretty bad. So yeah, this is actually a super budget, $20, and these have a really good win rate, 66% or 58%. Like that's really good. It's not super easy in my opinion to play Relic War, but it's not even that hard. It's just a different, we can say, way to play. Essentially, you want to get this that is a relic with trait durability, and it has leech, so it's really good even for kill the creature, you get leech and so on. Obviously you want to use this when you buff it, not at one attack, but when you buff it with like an alternate power and so on. It's actually really, really good, both versus aggro and control. Actually, I don't think this deck, like, I think this deck is really, really good as a budget version. I didn't make a video for this because I think it's just harder than like the budget deception I made or the budget war, but still, if you're searching for a actually pretty funny deck that is good and budget, this is okay. But yeah, it's the only war that I would probably suggest you to play in this in today's meta. This is instead the best deception deck. As you can see, it's literally, guys, after literally the other deck are with new cards, but that's what I said at the start. Like, it's not that the meta shifted a lot. I mean, it kind of shifted in those other deck, but in this it didn't shift a lot, even because I think, yeah, the crafting cards are still missing, and people still have to understand the best list and so on. So this is the first weekend ranked. I think in the next episodes will change a bit more. By the way, in this deck, as you can see, we have just discard more, as like is a literal standard baby with just discard more. That is Restless Beekeeper, 3 mana, roar, return a friendly creature to your end. If you do, also return a sleeping enemy creature to your opponent end. So it's actually really good for return essentially all the guild creature to your end. Essentially even better for Mayday, but you can return whatever. It's actually pretty solid, even because in the meantime you put a 3/4 body on the board, while instead, like for example with Shore Leave, you put nothing on the board. That's, I think, is actually the best versus aggro, because you jump back, like for example Blade Borrower, so forget another roar, and in the meantime you put a 3/4 with which you can trade the board. I think it's the best versus aggro. When instead versus control, it's just a way for jump another creature, I would say. As you can see, this deck is like super skilled, as I always said, the hardest deck if you saw my video. And yeah, 15 game, 90%, so this guy is obviously amazing, triple question mark with this deck, while other people lowered a lot the win rate. Obviously, he probably even high-rolled, but still, this deck is really hard to play, but if you understand this, you can play it really well. Now let's go jump instead of the first deck I'm really excited to talk about. That is actually the first deck that have new cards, like good amount of new cards, and actually Nature, I think, was the god most buffed from the new set, to be honest. Both the aggro version, but mostly the control version, because there are just some cards that are actually so good. Literally almost all the new cards are super good. Pet of Nature, delve a while from your deck and draw it. That touched, you even add strength and health. Obviously you want to get that which he does, because it's literally probably like your win condition, because it's like a wisp, so you continue to get copy of this in your deck, but those are always bigger, because it's Blitz, Twin Strike, that touched, so you kill one of your creature, gain the strength and the health of the sacrificed creature, then shuffle a copy into your deck. So essentially you continue to do this, like for example, the first time you kill a Badger, because you can even kill your Badger, and this is a 3/4 with Blitz and Twin Strike, then you can get with Path of Nature, you can re-get that, and then you do another time, and this is a 4/6, or maybe you can kill a creature literally like a Boar, and this even bigger, or Emberoni, and so on. Like, this creature is really amazing. Then you have some standard Control Nature card, like Winter's Bounty and so on, but let's continue to check the new cards. Regression is amazing, guys, because it's 2 mana, transform each enemy creature, so just the enemy ones, with 1 mana less cost, so, and retouched even 2. Guys, this card is amazing, because if you don't know, Jew is full of bad creature, like Genesis set, Trial of the Gods, is so full of shit, of cards, super bad. And lower the mana is even huge, because like, for example, versus aggro, like Aggro Light, Aggro War, where all the creature, there are a lot of creature with little mana. If you lower at like 0 mana, all the creature will become 0/1 at Titan Watcher, I think. So essentially you make literally everything useless. So actually you can even board block them if they go 6 wide. This card is literally amazing, just 2 mana for this effect, and you can even use this on Badger for get dead red touched. So it's super amazing, this card. Another amazing card is this, is 2 mana, choose 2 creature, they swap strength and health with each other. This means that if you have Badger still, you can Badger, and then you can give to your opponent creature, like for example, best case example, your opponent has a 10/10 alien, you can literally click GP, make a Badger, and swap, and your Badger becomes a 10/10, and his alien become a 1/2. So now you literally dealt with a threat, and now you have a threat. This card is literally amazing. You can do this with Badger, you can do this with Ant, and so on. Actually, this deck is not running all the Ant card. I, to be honest, think it should run at least the 2 mana spell that makes 2 damage and spawn 2 Ant, because it's super amazing. But I mean, he's not running and he has 70% win rate, so pretty good. And then the last new card is actually Lash Out, that is a 3 mana, deal 4 damage to a random enemy creature, repeat if you have Fury Cure of your opponent. So essentially, this card in control is amazing, it's essentially double canopy for 1 mana more, and you still draw only 1 card, so you don't waste 2 draws. So it's really amazing, even because in control you will always find yourself that you will have less creature. I think this deck is really amazing, I think this deck is really funny and really good. I, to be honest, don't understand why it's not that much played in nature. It's probably though because this deck is kind of pricey, because it has new cards, it has Ortuk, it has Emberoni, it's still a control, so you still have to have the pricey cards. But still, it's super funny. Obviously, you have Deal Departed and Shine on Azul for deal with like Arandion, combos, and so on. To be honest, I don't know if just with that, which he does, and double Path of Nature, you can probably rush them. I don't know, I should try that. Let's go now on Light. This is actually a deck that is literally normal from H-Pain, but it has just 2 cards that I wanted to talk about. This is standard control Light, 100% win rate, but just on 5 games. And H-Pain is pretty good, not even that much, but it's pretty good, so it makes sense. And I mean, yeah, just 5 games is really not a lot of games, but still, the thing I wanted to talk about is Teriel and Light and Luster. So Light and Luster is literally a board wipe for 7 mana because you empower, so you essentially set everything to 1 and then deal 1, so essentially you board wipe for 7 mana. Or you can combo that for Eukos, so already a 5 mana you can board wipe if you have both. Instead, Teriel is just a super amazing endgame for a deck that probably was lacking of that. I mean, it was not lacking because probably with Inescapable Duty you had that, but now this is just better. Like, you just drop these, full the board of 5/5s with Ward, Frontline, Blitz, and so on. So this card is really amazing, and this gives you a win condition versus control, in my opinion. So those are just the 2 cards added, and both are really good and made this deck already playable, that actually was pretty lost in the last meta, but just those 2 cards help a lot. But now I want actually to talk about this. This is super weird. It's a deck from Bela. I think, to be honest, this deck used a bug probably. I don't even know if it's a bug or what, or it's a weird interaction. Essentially, the best way for this deck is to use this dog that is 3 mana, 3/4 protected, can't attack. After you got the Zealed, you attack the strongest enemy creature. And you combo these with those that essentially on spare turn after your God Zealed, you summon another one of these. So essentially you do the combo where you, with these, whenever you summon a creature, you heal for 1. So essentially you put these and then put these. And those essentially is infinite, that you continue literally to spawn all the board of these. Because every time that you get healed, you summon one. So essentially you summon this the first time. This guy heal you and you summon another one. This guy heal you, and so on. And every time you get healed, this card attack a creature, even if it's dead. Like, even if it reach, that's why I think it's probably a bug, or I don't know, just a weird interaction. So essentially this card will go to 0 health, but will continue to attack as long as you spawn those little things. That's the best interaction of this deck. Other than that, there are a few new cards. For example, we can see Path of Light, that you just delve a legendary card. I don't know why there is this. I don't really like that, but there is this. There is, you draw. So essentially this is attack for draw the combo pieces, because you draw a creature of 2 strength or less. And then we have this one that is instead just for manage the board. I mean, those are just card added, are not real the main piece of combo. As I said, the main piece of combo is this dog with those healing thing. And there is still like Grand Luster, because it's just an amazing card. Let's go instead on the last god. So the last god is Magic. The best deck is probably still a Card or Magic, playing Card or Magic. As you can see, 73% win rate out of 140 games. That's actually a crazy win rate. This guy for sure is good, but I mean, he's triple question mark. He must be good. Other than that, yeah, it's literally just a plain Card or Magic. Like, as I said, like, still, I think the new meta still, it will take a bit of time, probably 1-2 weeks for really show the new meta. But I mean, Card or Magic is still good for sure. And now let's go instead on the last deck. This is Atlantean. This is literally a standard Atlantean deck. The only thing, as you can see, are 2 cards different that are the combo that I said in my other video. That is Dread the Replicator with Echophon. Essentially, Dread the Replicator, 6 mana at the end of your turn. If the top card of your deck is an Atlantean, summon a copy of it. Dread Touched, you can choose any Atlantean. So essentially, you will Dread Touch this card for sure, most of the time at least, when you can. And killing your creature, you will put at the top of your deck Echophon. So essentially, at 6 mana, you can summon a Echophon. That is a 9 mana. Although is at the end of the turn. So you summon Echophon at the end, so if they have a way for deal with Echophon, you literally just summon an Echophon, they ratify it, and then you draw an Echophon that you probably can't utilize because you probably are not at 9 mana. So it's actually a pretty weird combo, although if they don't have the answer, like an aggro that probably just want to rush you, yeah, it's pretty good. At the same time, it's pretty weird. I don't know if this Atlantean is better than the standard Atlantean with just lower mana creature and Francesca for close. At the same time, I wanted to show you the new Atlantean. So guys, that was all I had to say about this meta. As you can see, there are not too many decks new, if not probably all the nature ones. But yeah, just check the other episodes, probably the next or I will try to make an episode every week because there will be patch and so on. And even because, as I said, we still don't have every card for try it. So yeah, be sure to check the other episode and even to enter my Discord because you will see if I will make the dreaded deck work. And I guess see you to the next video.